So good evening, everyone. This is the Town and Community Committee, Tuesday, the 18th of February in the Town Council chamber at 6:30. The meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Biddulph Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision-making should be transparent and in the public domain, which will involve more of our community and local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you're consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed as the speaker's own do not necessarily reflect the view of Biddulph Town Council. If you want any further information, please view the guidance on recording in public meetings policy. Thank you. So our agenda this evening, first item number 62 is apologies and approval of any substitute members. Do we have any apologies?
Just Councillor Parks and no substitute members.
And number 63, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any disclosable pecuniary interests or any other interests for any of the items on the agenda today? No? And then item 64, to sign the minutes of the Town and Community meeting held on Tuesday, the 21st of January, 2025.
Just bring your attention to minute 59. The councillor Redfern stated there should be an emphasis on the environmental benefit of companies that the town council full stop. Doesn't really make much sense. I think what I was saying was that we should ask that the companies that we employ have good environmental credentials, and that way we can benefit.
Stick work with.
Yes.
Well, that. Thank you.
Any other comments on the minutes? Is everyone happy that those are a true reflection? I can sign those. Show of hands. Thank you. Absolutely.
Chair, if you just indulge me, on the minutes, there was reference to item 60, item requested by council, so to become a cooperative council. On the basis that, you know, it's not on the agenda, there's a follow-up. Is there any feedback on that? I know it's, otherwise these things drop off and don't come back, really. Or are you planning to learn something? Let's say you're going to do some question research.
There isn't an update at the moment, which is why it's not on the agenda,
Yeah.
but there will be.
Okay, that's fine.
And then item B, to receive the notes of the Biddulph Works Together meeting held on the 15th of January. Everyone had a chance to have a look at those. Need a proposer and a seconder for those.
Actually, Councillor Jackson was in the chair, so perhaps you should propose them.
I was reading something else. Yeah, I move those minutes.
Second those.
We're all in favour? Thank you very much. So on item 65, we've got an item requested by councillor Yates, and that's to consider the ongoing maintenance of Biddulph Village Hall sign. Would you like to talk to that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was approached by the person whose original idea this was. And they have been quite a feature around Biddulph, whether it be in Biddulph Moor, Gillyheath, Biddulph itself, Artisan and elsewhere. They've now got to the stage where they do require some maintenance in some respects, full refurbishment. Councillor Jones is gone, he was involved in refurbishing on at Biddulph Moor. It's not something which the Biddulph Town Council funded the first time around. I'm not particularly looking for Biddulph Town Council to put funds together. I'm just wondering whether Biddulph Town Council could facilitate grant applications to get funding, because I think originally, I mean, it's something which Councillor Rogers informed me of today, there was an original grant of £1,200 to actually create these, and it was given by Councillor Lawson when there was a lot more money given out to councillors at county at the time. And I'm thinking, is it something which has become part and parcel of the townscape, whether we could apply for a Moorlands Partnership grant to help repair and refurbish these things, not working on the basis that, say, the original £1,200 of inflation is probably what you need to actually do the job properly again and get the siting done. Then they would provide a 50% grant if successful, which is £600, which would leave a shortfall of £600, which I'm sure in the next financial year, district councillors with their monies could sort of club together and create enough money to match fund that without touching the council's coffers. I'm just very much aware that these were done by a non-constituted group, so therefore couldn't apply for the funding themselves. So it would have to come through another organisation. It's just really wondering whether the town council or any suggestions of any other organisation could effectively channel those monies to get this work done, because I think it would be a crying shame for these signs to, you know, fade away and disappear. A little bit like we had the issue earlier in the year with the miners' lamps. We just let them fade away and disappear, and people were very sad and very appreciative when they come back. So I think we've got an opportunity of facilitating the actual repair, refurbishment, and perhaps making them, in hindsight, perhaps a little bit more future-proof, the same as we made the miners' lamps a little bit more future-proof. And I would like to emphasise, I think we've all appreciated the addition of the signs to the townscape.
I've got Councillor Salt and Councillor Woods.
For a Moorlands Partnership bid, if it fits the parameters, but also in terms of the suggestion outside art, have I got that right?
Outside, yeah.
Perhaps they could be an organisation that could channel that.
Workshop even.
Find, the people to sort it out. But yeah, Moorlands Partnership bid sounds good. But how does anybody know through the chair what's the criteria? Do they have to have been knocking around for a while? Is a kind of a, I don't know.
I guess you could make the case that they celebrate heritage. I think that would be your angle, really, not that they themselves are a heritage feature.
Councillor Rogers?
Yeah, thank you. I knew this was going up, so I had like a search of the picture of Councillor Salt unveiling one there. 2016 it was. I wasn't sure how old it was, but it's 2016 when it was unveiled. And it didn't, I worry us a little bit, it isn't just about money. If we've got the money, who's actually going to do the work? Because I'm not sure the artist, I won't mention it because we're on YouTube, but we think everybody knows who it was. That doesn't want to do together. So even if we've got the money, who's going to take the work on board? That's my thoughts. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Proudlow and Councillor Kasiki.
Thank you, Chair. I'd support an approach to Moorlands Partnership. Just going back to what Councillor Schultz said, the Moorlands Partnership Board is primarily concerned with heritage projects, but as Chief Officer has made the case, outside arts could be an organisation that can help with the artistic and creative side.
The considerations that we come into it now.
Councillor Kasiki?
Yeah, I understand Roger Dean's wife was involved in some of those village signs, because there's one missing at Neighbourhood, and I know they were maintained by them, so I don't know what's happened there.
Councillor Yates.
Yeah, we were avoiding named individuals, to be honest, Councillor. But yes, it's safely stored in somebody's garage because basically it was the supporting thing which grabbed. I think from the artwork point of view, it's not always the artwork which is particularly damaged. It's the backboards and the actual supports and things like that. So my impression it's more to do with joinery, and I think we can improve. Obviously, each each particular one will have its own particular set of issues to resolve, some far worse than others. And I think introducing the concept of outside art, the clues in the title, they will have the capabilities of putting things right. But obviously, you know, the people who were involved before have got artistic talents, and it's one thing to create something from scratch, which requires a particular skill set. It's another thing to refurbish what's already there. So I think it's a project which could be delivered. I think we could support the finding the funding. And one thing is about providing the funding. The funding is on the condition of delivery. And if it finds out that, you know, further down the line there's an issue with delivery, the money just gets put back into the pot. There's no issue with that. But if the money isn't provided up front, then it's a non-starter before we go.
So Rogers.
Come back on that slide. From what I've been told is when we went to touch some of the artwork up, we found out the board's in quite poor condition. So it's major work on some of them, not all of them. Yeah, it is major work on some of them, which is, you know, we've got to think, yeah, we've got the money. Where do we start? Who's going to make them now? Because the chap who made the timber work is no longer capable. I'm not sure if he still wants to be quite honest. And the artist, I'm not sure she wants to do it again. Just consider things to be considered, the bigger picture here.
In terms of sort of a resolution for that, what are we wanting to explore, looking at outside as partner for that? Moreland's partnership as the Heritage Fund?
If we can come up, potentially we need a constituted group or the town council who can apply for these grants to actually be the holder of the purse strings to deliver, because they would not pay an individual monies to do that. So it's really a mechanism to actually lock in the funding so that work can be done. And obviously, if the work isn't done for whatever reason, then that funding either wouldn't be paid in the first place or would be returned. It's always a problem when people have got fantastic ideas and looking for grants. If they're not, in some cases, a proper registered business or they're not a constituted group, it isn't possible for local government agencies of any description to actually give effectively money away to individuals. So it's just a case of finding that mechanism.
Councillor Garvey, and then I'm just going to go to Councillor Lawton, if that's all right.
Just picking up on the constituted groups, I'm aware of at least two, well, certainly two constituted groups that I'm involved with that could potentially provide the umbrella for that. But there's also the Middle Festival as a constituted group who've been used in the past by other organisations to do a similar umbrella activity. So we have at least two, possibly three options for that moving forward. So I don't think we'll have a problem there.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's, through the chair, I think that's just the reassurance which they need, and then we can go ahead and look for finding sources of funding. So if you don't mind, I'll withdraw the town council as the conduit for the funding, and we can do it that way if you want, if you think that's easier. I'm easy. I just think it'd be a sad loss for the town. Now it's alerted. If they disappear, that's my position.
Is there a need for there to be an assessment of the extent of the renovation and its likely cost before we actually ask for money? Who would do that?
I think the first thing we need to do is ask the questions of Moreland's Partnership Board. We don't have to put a full application in like we did with the miners' lamps. I think we ask the question first to see if there was an opportunity and they'll be funded, and then we can do it that way through the town council. I think in terms of asking for a constituted group, that would be outside arts because they've got the expertise as well. What I'm going to speak a little bit candidly, you perhaps assuming that district councillors would want to give their £500 to this project, and I've already committed my £500 for next spending round to an organisation already. So I don't think you can.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just a case that there is ways of cobbling money. Sorry, Chair. There is ways of cobbling small amounts of money together and collectively to be lots of small amounts of money.
Yeah, I think outside arts is your vehicle for it.
Yeah.
But I do think we should go through Moreland's Partnership Board and at least ask the question. If it's a no-go, then I think that should be plan B.
Yeah.
As far as Councillor Lawton's question regards costs, we've got similar projects to benchmark, or
No, I don't know what they're made out of or how bad the disrepair is. I haven't seen any of them or been involved in those discussions, so I don't know them.
Councillor Yates.
Yeah, I just think at this stage, the principle is that, it's something which the town council would not like to lose and we like to support. I mean, we can talk to the individuals who were involved, concerned, perhaps have a quick site inspection, look to remove the ones which are beyond citing at this moment in time, and then we've got something to assess. Well, it's the principle again, the steps lined up to do that. And I think if we agree that in principle and we've got a way ahead and we can sound out Moreland's partnership in the first place, I'm sure there are a number of local joiner shops who could, well, I know there's a number of local joiner shops who can actually do the basic framework and the appropriate materials with the appropriate treatment so that they last a little bit longer than what sounds like 8 years. And then we can move it on from there. But at this moment in time, it's about, will the town council support the project moving forward, and can keep them as part of our townscape.
I was just going to make the comment that I think Councillor Yates mentioned earlier that the one on Biddulph Moor has already been refurbished by and Councillor Jones is involved in that. So perhaps we should talk to Councillor Jones, involve Councillor Jones, because he's obviously got previous expertise in what's needed, what was done last time around. So we've got the expertise, I think, within the town council group, and essentially we're just trying to get in principle an proposal approved that we progress this.
And after May, I've got a little bit more time on my hands and I'm pretty good at joining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops.
No, I'm not. Does someone want to put a proposal on the table, what you're asking for
I would,
in simple terms?
in simple
please,
terms,
Councillor Yates?
I would propose that we investigate the refurbishment of the village signs around Biddulph, and if it's a feasible project to refurbish, as we look for suitable funding avenues.
Partners. A second for that. Councillor Garvey. We all in favour of supporting that? Councillor Redfern, are you not on this committee? Oh, you are on this committee.
Yeah,
You're abstaining.
No, I have this support.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on for that one. Item number 66 on the agenda, we're receiving an update on the chain reaction project, and that will be Sarah.
Yeah. So Jodie and I were invited along to a meeting which has significantly grown since our first involvement with this. So it's a collaboration between outside the library, Biddulph Youth and Community Zone, local schools, hopefully the police if they've got some capacity, and the county council waste minimisation officer. It started really with an idea of just trying to move some of the bikes that are currently held within I guess all recycling centres, but most definitely Biddulph. And so the idea will be that Mayor will set off on his mayoral challenge to London, and that will then spark a year's activity in relation to bikes, and that will be all sorts of things across the moorland. So there's a lady who's joined the group who works for support Staffordshire. She's part of their Move More team, but her focus is Cheadle, and she's been having some conversations as well with Moorland's Climate Action. So there'll be lots of the hope is that the Fix and Ride project that used to exist in Biddulph will be reborn, and then young people will be able to repair their bikes, and then they will own those bikes afterwards, and the bikes will come from the recycling centres. And the hope again is that they will try to get some funding for people to kind of sign off the repairs of those bikes. The waste minimisation officers put in a grant application for helmets and other kind of safety items that can then be gifted with those bikes as well. And then there'll be kind of events that will encourage people to move more, cycle, use existing routes across the moors as well. And there'll be all sorts of different activities associated with that, particularly outside arts on Saturday the 12th. are planning to do, of April, are planning to do an event outside the library, which has got something that sounds like kind of bike ballet. I'm not really sure what that looks like in practice. But we're still working up that proposal, which is why it doesn't kind of exist at the moment on there. It's not something that we've got a massive role in terms of that event itself, but hopefully that will take place, and then it will also get people involved in discussions about how to reuse bikes and how to encourage people to use those more. So it sounds, it's very much the kind of discussion phases. I told the group at the last time that I would try and come up with a bit of a project plan, because there were so many amazing ideas that it all got a bit lost in the amazingness. And then we kind of get some tasks associated. It sounds like a really positive initiative, and one that if we can, we should try to support.
So I've got 3 speakers. I've got Councillor Rogers, Councillor Salt, Councillor Yates.
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite excited about this project as a cyclist, and obviously the mayor is doing this ride to London. But it sounds like we're doing these pop-up one-day events, which I'm very keen to see, and etc. I was thinking outside the box a little bit, and I mentioned this to the chief officer that if the potential of doing something a little bit more permanent in the bus hub, doing nothing, it's a secure building. We wouldn't have to particularly get involved a big lot, because does it count or just doing this event? County event, this on the 12th.
So it's an inside art event, and they need the open space, really.
Yeah, it was just about thinking outside the box a little bit, really. If we could do something at the bus up to promote cycling and a repair shop type event, not every week, but just an ideas, really, mad ideas. I think it'd be a nice thing for Bill. We've got a cycle route, haven't we? Route 55. We've got a building doing nothing. We've got push bikes we can get his hands on, or we know where there's push bikes. And I think the community would like to get involved first. It's just one of my personal thoughts on that. Something to consider. Chair.
So
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could choose a week, maybe the week that the mayor does his bike ride, although it might detract from your event, where we could get Biddulph residents, probably using social media, to pledge to ride to work and share their pictures on a social media channel of their ride to work. I'll do it. I'll ride to Stoke. Also, we've been talking for years prior to the beginning of this council about the bike shelter. And I think at the last meeting we discussed it, we decided probably against the bike shelter, but putting some kind of railings. And then we decided that some might already exist by the library. So I'm not really sure if we've canned that idea or not, but that could do with raising again. And I still think we need a permanent repair point in Biddulph, because once this chain reaction event dies away, if it's going to be for 12 months, then we're going to have bikes again that need fixing, and not everyone's got a bike pump at home or could afford to go to Argos and buy one, and not everyone's got the right spanners and all that sort of stuff to do that. And there are these repair points that we've talked about in the past where you can pump up your bike tyres, and it's got all the Allen keys and stuff that you need to do some basic repairs. There's no reason why we can't have that somewhere around the town hall that's plonked right in front of a CCTV camera, because I think that's what we were concerned about if we did have it down on the Wharf Road car park. But I'd really like to see a repair point as a bit of a legacy, so that people can continue to fix the bikes even if they haven't got the tools at home. But yeah, to start with, a pledge, a week in the summer where people could, hopefully if it's not raining, where people can get on the bikes and send photos that the town council sort of tweet or, you know, Facebook back out, then could be a lovely idea. Anyway, that's it from me.
even call it Get On Your Bike.
Get on your bike, yeah.
Councillor Yates, then Councillor York.
My initial thought was the game wave me goodbye, then have a party, you know, which is interesting concept, I thought. But no, I think it's absolutely excellent. I mean, I understand, you know, the cycle ballet and the main event will go on the Saturday, which is the day we're due to finish the challenge. So one of the things which I'm hoping to do is to be able to live stream the finish, so to speak, so we can see us cycling away, looking fit and healthy, and arriving in Regent's Park, which I think it'd be very good. So that's the plan. Hopefully, it's not throwing it down with rain and open, and we're not crawling on us all fours by that stage. But I do like the fact that it builds momentum over the course of the next 12 months, and I think council has all brought in some good ideas. I know that I've had communications from the Repair Cafe who've said that they're interested in getting involved as the year goes on and offering that sort of repair service, and that's something which I know Moreland's Climate Action do as well, so there's good coordination there. And I would like to think that over the course of the next 12 months, if we can build momentum with improvements to the Purfleet Valley Way, which are planned, and wider cycle routes over the next few years, is that perhaps a business will return to Biddulph, which offers, you know, cycle repairs and workshops as things, if not a specific cycling business, but as part of that, because traditionally, you know, we have had at least one, if not two, cycling businesses there. So yeah, so I think it's very good. I think it's building, so it's, you know, built some very good. It's got a good starting point in the context that it's got something to hang its hat on. And if it carries on with that momentum throughout the year, then absolutely brilliant. I look forward to it. I mean, we have got aspirations for Wharf Road to be a green lane leading into the town. They are still there. You know, it's longer jobs to do that. But yeah, absolutely.
Martin.
I wouldn't in any way like to think that I was against these cycling initiatives. Very good. However, I'd be a little bit cautious about thinking of using the bus hub at this point, because my understanding is that there's a chunk of government money heading towards the county, or to the transport authorities, shall we say, which in our case is Staffordshire County Council, for infrastructure improvements for public transport. And as such, I think there may be a prospect that we can get something done with the bus hub to make it more feasible to use. And for that reason, I would perhaps be a little bit cautious about using it for anything else, suggesting it at this point.
Great, Councillor Martin. Okay. One of, if you've ever been to Westport Lake, one of the things they have there is a Green Door project, and they have adapted bicycles for people with disabilities. So you can mount, so that the side-by-side cycles that one person can cycle and the other person can sit down. They're also, so there's adapted, so a wheelchair can go on the back of it. Might be worth tapping into them to see if, I mean, maybe they might be able to lend us one for people to have a go on. We gave them a small donation. But it might be interesting for different, bit of a different viewpoint. Any more comments on the chain reaction project?
I think, Chair, just to finish up from me, I'll kind of try and write this up to a bit of a project plan and then share it with you. But given that we've got this meeting now, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to just kind of raise some of the discussions that have gone on, and then I'll bring something more formal in terms of a project plan to you at a later date.
Sounds really exciting. There's lots of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we'll be there.
So moving on to item 67, to consider being involved in the Keep Britain Tidy Great British Spring Clean, 21st of March to 6th of April is when the campaign's running. Sarah?
Yeah, Councillor Kaziki and I were talking about litter picking the other day, and it seemed like it might be a nice opportunity to raise the importance of kind of looking after a particular area. We did mull on the fact that there may potentially be a few areas around town, and we wondered about whether put something maybe on social media to say, is there an area that really bothers you? And then maybe to get a team together to kind of do something within that period to kind of have a litter pick and clean up in time. Then we can promote that campaign and obviously all the lovely volunteers that are involved in that, and also clean up an area that potentially is bothered residents.
So I know historically we've done a sort of semi-annual litter pick on Church Road playing fields, but I know we haven't done, I've not been involved in that this year. That's definitely one that is mentioned a lot. So I've got Councillor Yates and Councillor Salt.
Yes, one of the initiatives which we were going to do is we were actually going to ask for a road closure on Mao Lane because there's an awful lot of very old litter, cans, bottles, and whatever, and it was considered too dangerous for people just to go walking up in a reflective jacket whilst people are driving up and down on a derestricted road. If we remember, COVID got in the way because I think it was something due to start in March 2021, and we were all kitted out for sort of doing it and sight up, and then obviously COVID happened. I think that's got traction to do that because these areas do need a deep clean, and I do actually think the Little Valley Way is prime for a deep clean as well. It's again, COVID got in the way of the volunteers who regularly used to do it, and I have noticed over winter that, you know, when the leaves are off and some of the trees have fell down, there is quite a lot of old litter there, which really wants tidying up and clearing away. I do believe there's a shopping trolley which the litter could be put in, I suppose, but that's and again, going up to Brownlees, just off the Biddle Valley Way, there was a lot of tree planting done in the mid-2000s, and the plastic sleeves are still there, which are quite rotten. I mean, it'd take a bit of an effort to take them off, you know, only in the context that there's a lot of them, but that would make the area an awful lot tidier. So as a suggestion, there was a proper walking route where everybody sees, I think that would make a noticeable difference.
So.
Yeah, it's not the Easter holiday then, Easter's late this year, but I'm just thinking if we can entice some kids to be productive, because our little children like to be productive and contribute. And if we could entice some kids to do some stuff and then perhaps treat them to a goodie bag or something after with a few sweets and bits and bobs in it. I know it doesn't tie in with those dates, but certainly, you know, if they come to the town hall with a bag of rubbish they've picked, I don't know. You probably need to go out with an adult, but maybe councillors can volunteer to be at their patch and the kids will turn up and then we can drop the rubbish off and march them to the town hall and pick up the free goodie bag. I don't know, but it's something to think about over Easter. I'd volunteer to do that in my patch, Church Road.
Are you happy if we put something out then and say that there's something we're supporting this year, and does anybody have any areas that they want us to kind of hit, as it were? And then maybe if anybody wants to get involved, because we've got all sorts of kit people can use, so there is absolutely no cost to people doing it. There's bags and litter pickers and all sorts.
How many litter pickers do we have? I'm just thinking if we could do like a campaign day where we could do several areas at once, or whether it'd need to be sort of on separate days.
We've probably got about 30 litter pickers. Maybe, we get them from the district council, and it obviously does them a favour if we do that. So they usually just provide them to us if we want them. So,
Councillor Kasuki.
Yeah, Bidulph from Bloom did a litter pick in conjunction with the Rotary Club. So maybe it might be worth approaching them because they also had some youngsters from the high school involved as well. But the worst areas tend to be on the approaches to the tip along Childer Play Road and Bembersley Road in that direction. So maybe some South Ward councillors might like to have a go along their district as well as.
So we're going to look to identify some areas through social media.
Yeah.
And then once we've got those areas, we can kind of work on a plan of action then for how we address it.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can we just try and promote the shops as well, just to do their own little bit of weeding outside of their own shop? Because it's not bad, don't get me wrong, the high street isn't bad. But each shop just weed it there a tiny bit outside their shop. It'd be a big help to Philip and Bloom, do a lot of it, and to keep the town tidy. And it's not much of a job just to do your own little tiny bit, does it really?
So just moving on to item number 68 now, we are receiving an update on proposed tree planting activities, and that's Sarah again.
Me again, yeah. So we're taking delivery of some woodland trust trees sometime between the 3rd and the 7th of March. The aspiration is that these go on Bill Valley Way, where a fence has been moved and to kind of strengthen that boundary there. Really, I'm asking for another kind of social media campaign, really, or through the other press, just to kind of advertise the opportunity of doing some tree planting. So that might be brilliant for Duke of Edinburgh students, or anybody else who wants to volunteer. And also, we quite often get given or offered trees that people have got, whether they're kind of small ones that they've got, they need in their gardens, they bought a batch of things or whatever. I wonder whether it's worth saying, actually, at that time, if you've got extra trees, we'll have them now. So that we don't end up with, planting 500 trees and then following week somebody says, oh, I've got, 30 more, let's have more at the same time, really, because it's a good time to. When we've got a list of volunteers, we'll then work out a suitable date from mid to late March to plant those. So.
I've got Councillor Yates, Councillor Salt.
Yeah, just to reiterate what the Chief Officer said there, they agreed with the District Council that they have no intention of replacing the post and rail fence along the side of the Biddle Valley Way, which borders Dorset Drive West. So the plan is to create a wildlife corridor by replacing that fence with effectively what will be a hedgerow. So along that length, it's on the edge of the greenway, so it wouldn't particularly encroach on the greenway, and it's away from the track, so it wouldn't actually drop leaves onto the track itself, but it would make a nice bit of wildlife connectivity. Any surplus trees can then be planted at the very southern end of Biddle Valley Park, where the stream comes out of Coppice Wood. There's been quite a high attrition rate, and nobody quite knows why, of some trees which were planted around about 15 years ago. And a lot of drainage work and culvert work's been done. So there's an awful lot of relatively barren land there. So any trees which are of an unknown type and intermediate size can easily be swallowed there and make actually a contribution to extending the biodiversity leading up to Coppice Way again without impacting any amenity value. And also if there's any suitable trees left with donations and things, the bottom, the southeastern corner of Halls Road playing fields is very wet and very soggy because all the sand drains down, all the water goes through the sand and drains down there. It is quite heavy with soil, so it is good for planting. And the water then drains onto the road and causes problems. So any tree planting there will actually help mitigate the flooding and wetness issues there. So again, we have got a multitude of sites where we've got permission to put things. What they wouldn't want put down there is enormous trees like oak trees and horse chestnuts, but anything which is your willows and ashes and things would be absolutely fine. There's plenty of scope.
So you're asking there to again put a bit on social media.
Yeah, advertise the opportunity and the possibility of using people's extra trees.
And email up to the high school, see if they've got any candidates for Duke of Edinburgh. Councillor Salt.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you probably have got a record over the years of how many trees we've planted. Can you, when you're doing the tree planting, just put a social media post out about how many tons of carbon that the tree planting has absorbed? I think that'd be a nice thing to show that we're going in the right direction, because I reckon it's got to be a few hundred now, if not 1,000 we've done it. I reckon.
We involve like the air cadets and
yeah, historically we've had amazing representation from across the town. So we've had ladies from the Women's Institute and the Air Cadets and young people as well, and we've got out a really lovely kind of cross section of the community. It's been a really positive experience.
Okay, so moving on to item 69 then, to receive an update in relation to youth activities within the town, and passing over to Sarah.
Thank you. I would like to
just have one meeting, please.
I would like to work with partners to coordinate some activity in relation to services for young people in the town. At the moment, there are no facilities for young people who are more challenging in terms of their behaviour, no activities for them that they can go to. They are banned from quite a number of facilities within the town, and that means their behaviour escalates to such an extent that it becomes criminal, and that's when the police are involved. And we've been obviously very much on the periphery of that, but also involved in the sense that those young people have been drawn to the town hall because this is one of the only venues that they are not banned from. Been having some discussions. I've met the new head at the high school and his behaviour management team there. Some very positive discussions with them. And I think it would be a good opportunity for us to coordinate some activity to work out who can do what and who can work with these young people, and whether some funding can be gained from elsewhere. I'm not proposing that we fund any additional activity, but that we help to bring together partners to provide something better.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Councillor Proudle.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd suggest it's perhaps worth contacting the Police Crime and Fire Commissioner. Mr. Adams.
He's coming to Biddulph on the 15th of March to the Conservative for a surgery. I've suggested we might like to hold a meeting and he come over the road and have that conversation, but we haven't moved that forward yet.
I'll drop him an email and encourage him to do so.
Thank you.
I'll phone him up.
Councillor Salton, Councillor Kasiki.
Just to say that I'd love to be involved in that work. So if you need a volunteer, I'd quite happily develop something or help with something or coordinate something. I don't volunteer at the Youth and Community Zone anymore, but I would like to do some of this kind of work. I've just got a couple of ideas regarding young people. A while ago we thought about there's a breeze block wall down on Halls Road that still exists, unless it's been knocked down. I don't think it has. It still exists. There's definitely potential there for outside art to do a project with some young people on that wall. I think it was designed as some kind of goal. I don't even know why it exists.
It's a kick wall.
A kick wall. So I think it'd be nice to redecorate that and get some young people involved using outside arts. And I do think that we need some kind of passport, collect stamps. Just bear with me while I do this. There's some young people in this town that have been really helpful to the town council, and perhaps they need some kind of reward. And having two teenage boys as myself as well, they quite often say I'm bored. I just wonder if there's some kind of scheme where there's little jobs need doing around Biddulph. And I know it takes an adult supervisor and school holidays and things like that, but where they can collect little stamps for doing like little activities, and then they can build this passport and exchange it for something so that they get rewarded for good rather than told off for doing bad. But told off for doing bad does not change behaviour. It assumes that people are rational human beings, and rational choice theory does not work. We don't make rational choices, which is why we have criminal behaviour. But positive reinforcement does allow people to make good choices. So I do think we could do something like that. These people are probably not going to get involved in something like the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme that's more formal, but they might get involved in an informal kind of process like that where they can be rewarded and for doing good. So yeah, I'd more than happily be involved.
Councillor Kasiki.
Have the young people concerned given any indication of what activities they would be interested in?
So one of the things I've spoken to the police about, because we've been involved really because those young people are happy to, a number of them are happy to engage with us and don't have such a positive relationship with the police. So I think we've been viewed really as a conduit for making that happen. And one of the things the police have been thinking about is something that happened in Lichfield, and I want to call it a World Cafe, but something like that where you get lots of relevant people together, and it's only those people who feel like they want to and could make a difference. So we're not getting people involved in that who just want to shout about young people, because that's not positive. And then you get those young people involved as well, and you help to design something that potentially could be fit for purpose for them. And whilst that's a longer project, and that doesn't necessarily help with the issues that we're experiencing at the moment, it does then hopefully stop another generation of young people behaving in a way that probably it looks like it will go with that generation. So it's a longer term picture, but it's about kind of looking at a solution that works for everyone.
Sounds like another research project. Are you going to sort of continue?
If you're happy for
Looking
me
at
to
that.
work, as I say, it's we've become a kind of key partner in that because of our existing relationships, and I'm quite happy to do that. As I say, right at the start, it's not about town council contributing financially, but helping to find a solution that's for the community of the town, rather than.
I'm guessing the detached youth workers and things have been involved with that. Well, or not so much.
Not so much.
Has anyone got any further comments on the youth activities?
World's changed.
I just continue to provide updates. I think that's with everyone and involve anyone as they as.
So just, are younger people still interested in building things, or just you want to do electronic games and things nowadays, or do we know right now?
Can I just add my perspective as a parent through the chair? I quite often get grandparents saying this. My kid today has not been in the house. He's got up, he's gone straight out with his friends to go to the gym, then he's gone straight out to football. And while I was sat in this meeting, he says, come pick me up. Kids, I think it's a bit of a myth to say that kids are constantly sat in front of computer games. They're really not. Our young people are wonderful young people that are out all the time playing. And some young people do play computer games, and that's absolutely fine. But lots of young people are out doing really good things and really constructive things. And if you give them a hammer and a chisel and you teach them what to do with it, then they will build something out of it. But what they need is input from grown-ups. They need to stop being stereotyped as a problem, and they need grown-ups to give them time to teach them these skills that perhaps because the curriculum's changed, they no longer get taught at high school. We just need grown-ups to invest time into them, and they'll welcome it, I promise you.
I know I'm getting old, but I used to spend hours making go-karts and racing them with my mates, and we don't see that sort of thing nowadays, really.
There's no adults. What you need is a generation of adults investing that time back into the kids. Which adults are volunteering to build go-karts with kids?
Didn't we built them?
I know, but you must have had an adult influence. There must have been some kind of.
We just picked it up ourselves as we went on.
But it will have been passed down through generations, big brothers and things like that.
I was thinking about when you're looking at that as well, you're thinking about the generational gap of skills as well. There's a lot of parents out there that don't have the skills that maybe the grandparents had. They don't have those skills to be able to pass on. Or they don't have the resources to be able to get the tools to show a young person how to use them. Might be something to link in with the library of things.
Anyway, sorry to hold up on that.
Councillor Proudlove, do you want to come in?
No, it's just a quick one. It's perhaps there is an element of truth in children focusing on games or whatever, but it isn't necessarily a negative thing. People can build careers out of such childhood interests. A friend of mine, when we were kids, absolutely obsessed with television. Couldn't get him away from the television. But as he grew up, he became interested in what sat behind how people make things, how people do things. And he went on to work in the film industry in New York. So, there can be positives from perceived negatives.
Picking up on something similar, I mean, there has actually of late been quite a trend towards board game cafes as well. So in terms of, again, it's a safe space where they can engage in activities with other people rather than necessarily with a screen. But again, maybe something we could do along those lines in terms of hosting board game cafes in the town hall.
think they trialled one at the youth club for that, but it
Yeah,
wasn't
I don't know what's
particularly
happening.
well attended.
But I say, knowing that it's sort of, it's become quite an in vogue thing. The number of board games that you see out there now are vast. Some of them quite involving and quite demanding. So it's just another thought to throw in the pot.
So just want to come back.
Yeah, just declaring interest as well, because I work for Stafford University, but we've got a university down the road that are world leaders for games design. So these kids do get amazing careers and they can go to university down the road and develop that careers.
Like in on that then, Chair, please. In that case, is there an opportunity to get someone from that in here to come effectively run like a games design workshop?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. But you've obviously lots of ideas there.
Yeah.
So Sarah, if you can just feedback to us on that, keep updating us, that would be wonderful. And then following on nicely from what we've just talked about, to receive an update on the Library of Things project.
Well, so as you know, this is a project that we were very keen on as a committee, and we're essentially waiting for the right funding to come along, because the county council had a kind of large pot funding scheme for projects that would fit within their environment climate change remit. And although I haven't had the formal letter, so I don't want to, be too excited, looks very positive that we've been successful with that funding. So I would like to start working up some policies and some processes to get that sort of project involved and bring a bigger update to you.
Brilliant.
Looking positive.
Councillor Salt.
Can I just thank the team for working on that, please, and Charlie for bringing the idea forward.
So item number 71, to receive an update on an emerging music festival in the autumn.
Thank you. So there's just a few conversations that are ongoing at the moment that I wanted to make you aware of. So we've talked previously about Biddle Festival and the possibility of a sort of offshoot of that being activities that happen in the autumn. At the same time, at the same time, we've been approached by a lady in the town who's part of choir, and she's really positive about bringing back the Biddulph Music Festival. And this was something that existed a few years ago, and it was hosted around different venues in the town, and it was a competition. So you could enter as a choir, as a quartet, as a single instrument, whatever it was. And she's really keen to try and coordinate something around that again. There is a music festival kind of group that you can join to kind of promote your festival and to get their advice on how to do that. And we provisionally, excuse me, in talking to her, identified the 4th of October for that activity. And she would be happy to kind of coordinate that on our behalf. And then we would, my feeling at the moment is we would need to seek some funding from somewhere to support those activities, because we're looking at potential room for various different venues and that kind of thing. So I'd like to look for some grants that could support that and hopefully bring some music activities to the town in October. That links in quite nicely with this, going back to the initial point here, links quite nicely with the idea around a music kind of autumn festival. I've got a meeting arranged for Monday evening this week, but unfortunately we had to cancel it. So I just need to get a bit more information about that. But the hope is that the kind of starting with this music festival, music competition element at the start of October, that will then have a couple of weeks of quite nice intensive music projects within the town. I've had some tentative discussions with Outside Arts to start with, and they would be happy as part of that, kind of under the umbrella of that, to do some kind of workshops for people as well, to maybe get them involved in instruments that they hadn't been involved in before, and kind of bring a different element to that project. So it felt like it's quite a positive project, and it's something that we'd like to move forward and as I say, seek some more funding for, because I suspect there'll be some costs associated with that we wouldn't necessarily.
So I just ask that we link in with Biddulph Up in Arms. Yeah, and also Biddulph Up in Arms received some funding from the UK Shared Prosperities Fund in the first round. So there is definitely, I don't know the grant situation, these guys will be able to tell you about that, but they have funded music events in the past, so I can't imagine why they wouldn't do so again. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, the one we used to have used to be very well attended and people used to come from far and wide to form on it and to listen to it, really. I went to a few of them. So I'd like to get going, I'd say. Well,
Councillor Yates and Councillor Proudmouth.
Yeah, I did a cabinet today at South St Albans. I did ask for a breakdown of the UK Shared Prosperity Fund into its various convoluted and complicated and very prescriptive categories, which we've had on the first round, and it has been prepared ready for surely. The one thing which I have been assured is that it is now quite a more simplified and streamlined fund, and it's far less prescriptive, and it does give the opportunity for towns and parishes to actually do with the money what they prefer to do with the money, not what they're told by somebody in Whitehall who's never been out of Downing Street.
Councillor Proudmouth.
I don't need to say anything.
Okay, brilliant. So are we happy in principle to support that then, and for Sarah to support them finding funding and what have you for that?
Yeah, another one that I'll bring an update to, but I'll just I'll work on it.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And then 72, to receive an update on VVJ Day activities.
Okay, so as is usually the case with these things, we've got quite a prescriptive list of things that we need to do on the day. That's come from the pageant master, as regards kind of raising flags and ringing bells and lighting lanterns and that kind of thing. So that's on the Thursday. Starts early in the morning with activities going into the evening. So as we get a bit closer to that, I'll let you know at what points in the day that we'll be able to follow those activities. We've been offered, and I have put in an application for £1,000 from Staffordshire Moors District Council to support those activities. We've arranged, as we've discussed previously under kind of events updates, to have a concert on the 10th, which is the Saturday. That again will be the Road Hall Silver Band, Male Voice Choir and the Knipesley Singers, and they're hoping, Kingsville Singers, hoping that Knipesley First School will get involved because they've got a lovely choir who are desperate for singing opportunities, which would bring a really nice element to that. So we're just working with them on that. Obviously, that's there's some funds needed for that conference. Usually provide refreshments for people who do that. So part of the funding can go to those activities. There isn't anything yet that's come out of government or via the pageant master about what we should do for VJ Day. Obviously that's in August. I wondered, had some discussions this afternoon about what's going on elsewhere, and there's a kind of there's some work going on that I'm aware of in Leek, where they were looking at the last person in Leek to be killed during the Second World War. So I wondered whether there's some work for us to do there in terms of working out who that was in Biddle. We should have that information in terms of dates of death, and whether we could do some work, do a project around that person, the experiences that they had. I'm really just very early stages of this, but I also did wonder whether we should ask one of our local churches to have a service as part of that process as well. And it's much more celebratory, these events this time, because obviously it's the end and we're celebrating the end. I wonder how you feel about bunting and you want to kind of get involved in that sort of thing. It just don't mention. That's where we're up to in terms of our plans, but obviously there's lots of other.
Onto the whole town.
I had a question on that. I remember us having a conversation about doing sponsoring a coach to go to the Arboretum, and we talked about that. And I believe that might have been thwarted by COVID. But I know we discussed, I think it was for another anniversary, was it for?
75 years.
I think it was the 75 years.
That will have been COVID then.
Yeah, and I think we discussed and we'd agreed to fund or part fund a coach, or to look for funding to maybe take a few groups that might not have ever been to the Arboretum, whether they've got challenges for transport, to go and kind of experience that and see what that's all about. I don't know if that's something we can explore again. Yeah. So I've got Councillor Salt and Councillor Rogers to just speak on that.
Is it me first, Charlie? Yes. My mum was pecking my head the other day, as she does. Apparently, you might know more about this. Mum seems to think that there needs to be a rendition of Jerusalem. I might have got that hymn wrong at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something. She like wants all the choirs there, just telling you. She wants like the male voice choir on the town hall steps and the King's Beale singers, and she has asked me to pass that on to sing Jerusalem. Just putting it out there. No pressure.
I think Jerusalem will be part of the arrangement for the Saturday night. So we might have to dust off the town council choir for the Thursday morning. But we absolutely
Anyway, there's that, and when it was the 100 years since the end of World War One, I went through my mum's book, Royal British Legion, and in that book is the name of every single person that's died in World War One and every single person that's died in World War Two. And then I went through that book and I traced the address of every single person that had died, and I made a card that said such and such a person lived here and died during the Great War. And I gave them to every single house that still existed where those people lived, and asked them to display it during that period of time where it was those 100 years. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do, and they were really well received. Not a single person said, "Get lost, I'm not having that in my window." And actually, when I did the Rotary Christmas light switch on, no, the Rotary going around the town with Santa thing, I knocked on this person's door, not last year, just gone, the year before, and there in the window was this sign, and he says he gets it out every year and he puts it in his window around the time of remembrance to remember that that person lived in this property. So they still exist, they're still knocking around. They were really well received, and I think we could probably do something like that again. Happy to work on that if you pay for the printing, because it cost me a small fortune last time, and the laminating. But I don't mind doing that again.
Is there something that we can do in the town hall where, I mean, I know lots of houses have got scrapbooks of old pictures and wartime pictures and things like that. I've got a box of stuff from my grandparents where people might be able to come along and you could show them some of these photos. Yeah, where you can show them these photos and share the memories of the sort of wartime pictures and things. Just the music. I've got Councillor Rogers and Councillor Yates.
It's just to the chair, the chief officer, please. You've been copied into the parish assembly, haven't you, with the funding that's available for VE and BJ days.
Yeah, that's that £1,000.
That's right, as long as you got that email, yeah.
The application in already.
All right, yeah, no worries. Sometimes it gets skipped on. You don't have the parish assembly one, don't you, occasionally?
Get that.
Got that one, okay, it's fine. Thank you.
It's
We did pictures, didn't we, around the, actually inside of the town hall. Something
Yeah.
which was related to it. And we did actually say that, you know, well, we discussed some time before that, we consider doing an actual frieze all the way down, which has got the history of the town on, and photographs, you know, you see them in lots of places, you know, with heritage where it actually merges old and new. So perhaps, you know, perhaps something like that would go on the town hall. Everybody who went to the town hall that time when all the pictures are out and things, so it was absolutely fantastic.
It's like the idea of using the town hall for some sort of a display, like you say, particularly pertaining to the war era. And then I'm presently working on a project that isn't, I don't think it would be relevant for Biddle. It's more of a project I'm working on following some items I bought at auction and do with the First World War and the role of nurses in that particular conflict. It is something that would be most worthwhile for the town hall.
So are you going to look at working up some ideas and come back to us once.
Andy, so we've got something set in stone already, the 8th and the 10th. It's just kind of, you like the idea of a church service, I'll approach a partner to do that.
Can we have a look at what we discussed about the coach and maybe bring it back to the next meeting? About
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
because that might be something for sort of EJ day, because it's a bit later and a bit longer for the planning, and it works in with summer actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, we'll look.
School
we'll work on some of
holidays.
these ideas.
So it could be kind of almost tied in with the youth.
As well. Yeah, we'll bring it back.
On that, just tied in with the youth project, I know we said it's going to be a celebration because it's the end of the war, but the current climate that we're living in, I think it's probably worth doing a bit of work with young people about the reason why we had that war and the current direction of geopolitics at the minute. I do think genuinely there's probably a bit of work to be done.
So last item on the agenda for tonight, so receiving a verbal update on events. You've had a big come round, if you want to have a look at that, and consider whether an events working group would be beneficial. And I think looking at that list, I would suggest that it probably is. Councillor Garvey.
We do need, I mean, we used to have a civic events working group, but I think the number of events that are going on now beyond the short, small core of official civic events does warrant a working group to spread the workload, because conscious that there's an awful lot more events running now through the town hall than we haven't had in the past. So spreading the workload would probably be a very beneficial thing to do. So I'd like to propose that.
Yeah, so if anyone want to second that proposal, councillor Salt, we all in favour of a working group for the events. We've done this the wrong way around, but that's fine. So working group for the events, and then we'll have a verbal update from Sarah just on what events we've got going on.
There's
Sorry.
not.
Just a very quick one on the bottom line here, is a few things. It says, Route April 26th, has that been confirmed and where's it going to be? Okay, just a thought.
We're trying to pencil in things. But we've also got some ideas which haven't found homes yet.
Right, okay. I thought it'd been confirmed, but it's not on the list.
No, it's on the consider bit at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's just so that you know that it hasn't
Yeah, but
fallen.
that was in a date, I thought it'd been set a date.
Well, and a little bit depends how we progress with the frontage,
Yeah.
where we're up to then, and what we can do in terms of kind of using space properly. So just, I mean, there isn't much to say really. I've printed this off for you so that you can kind of take it home for the break on it, and then you kind of know what's going on at different times. You'll see that we've got the Scratch Cinema in there. So we've had some confirmation from Film Hub Midlands that they are happy to continue to fund our film activities. There's a potential there for a little more funding as well. We're just working up a proposal at the moment. Because Jodie's been going to some of their events, which has proved really useful in terms of how we kind of promote our film activities and how the sorts of films we share and how we access certain groups. And it turns out there are, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you before, there are three organisations across the Moorlands who are all funded by Film Midlands. So we did wonder whether it'd be nice to do a kind of collaboration across the three. So we haven't got a date in necessarily for that, but we're hopeful of kind of pulling together some extra funding so that we can do a kind of Moorlands-based film project on that year as well. Anything anybody else wants to ask about? Just kind of running through that. I think most of this you know about and that you've spoken about before.
August is looking a little bit blank.
Yeah.
For the summer holidays when all the kids have got nothing to do.
Yeah, it is, but also lots of people go away then, and quite a number of your staff like a break as well. So, whilst there will be things going on in the town hall, we haven't kind of established what those are yet. We've done kind of showing films to the things, and I guess in August, quite a number of our partners who deal with young people as well will perhaps do things. You know, a few communities they usually have quite a varied programme of activities. So, as and when we know what's kind of going on there, we'll wrap services and events around what partners are doing.
So I've got councillor Salt and councillor Jackson.
Can we try and, I think, can we have a send film thing?
Yeah.
So, I think there's a family one that I spotted. Where I've seen that, it's a family film. Seen it somewhere. Wednesday, the
Correct.
23rd of July, family film. Can we make that in brackets send friendly?
Yeah, we've talked before, sorry, Chair, we've talked before about having a specific session for send families as well, and there was the possibility through Film Hub Midland some additional funding because they work with organisations who come in and kind of provide some support around that and suitable films and suitable kind of activities surrounding that as well. So absolutely, we'll look at that, but I wonder whether we do focus more on it being a specific session.
That's fine.
We'll make a note to do that.
Well, if there's any time that we pencil that in, and I will be more than happy to support, and I know that we have staff go away, but I'd be more than happy to support that if you need extra bodies in August, because the parents need a break in August, and we'll be tearing their hair out. But just to let you know that I am away the 3rd and the 11th, and not here on A-level results day. Well, I am, but hopefully I'll be commiserating or celebrating, one of the two. So any other dates?
We'll look at a date for that.
Yes,
Right,
and
just
think that'd be wonderful, and count me in to support that.
I suggest we need to involve the same parents group as well.
absolutely, yeah, we will
Follow
do
it,
that
yeah.
speaking to them first, yeah.
We've got councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I was just going to say, really, when you see it all spread out, again, how much we're actually interacting with the town, how much is actually going on. And I'd like to congratulate everybody that's actually put this physically together, because there's quite a lot going on. If you really look at it, there's little bits and bobs. Quick question, the either star or the asterisk?
Oh, that's
Yes,
a
the
really
musical
nice.
ones. What's, has it got any significance?
Yeah, it's on one of the other pages that you haven't got.
What?
There's another page behind it that you haven't got, but it's basically a mayoral event.
Right, okay, so
You'll have got one next to Bill's Got Soul and Dan Board, so they're ones that we're hosting at the town hall. Obviously Jodie's supporting to serve.
And again, just thanks to all the staff and everybody that's involved with putting all these things.
Yes, so
I appreciate it.
yeah,
Can I just ask, councillor Yates, Mr Mayor, your civic ball, are you having an auction? Are you having,
I'm going to have a raffle. For them.
okay, so are you looking for
Raffle prize.
raffle prizes?
Yes.
Might be a good
Yes,
bit of a recce around and
Yes,
see
thank-
if anyone
thank
has
you.
got any.
thank you very much, Chair, for mentioning that. Yes, any raffle prizes for the civic ball would be most welcome and appreciated. You could donate a couple of books, yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that'd be brilliant, actually.
I've got some vintage ports at home.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be super, yes.
Yeah, so if anyone has any raffle prizes for the mayor's civic ball, they would be most gratefully received.
Somebody
Thank you.
it's on its way to the charity shop, but no.
Okay.
Does anyone have any further comments, or are we happy to close the meeting? And obviously any updates on any events, Sarah will keep providing them. Civic ball is in April, 25th. Also, tickets,
What's that? Tickets.
civic ball,
Civic ball,
tickets.
it's available downstairs, reception.
Are we plenty of tickets? Are we?
We've always got plenty. We can expand or contract the setup accordingly. Yeah, don't worry about not getting tickets. In fact, I'd worry about not getting tickets and get your tickets bought.
Yeah, I've not
have to pay for
emailed lots of it. So, brilliant. Okay, so we will close the meeting. Tonight. Thank you for your meeting. 4:28. Thank you very much.